Hey everyone, and welcome to our first webinar this is going to be such an exciting time. I've got some exciting guests on here that you're going to really enjoy spending a little bit of time with. And I'm really excited to introduce them to you. I'll let them share a little bit about themselves. And as you're coming in, if you'll just post in the comments where you are and where you're coming in from, that would be great. So let's go ahead and jump right in because we have a whole lot of information we want to give to you. And we definitely want to be respectful of your time today and so that you can get on with the rest of your week and finishing up strong and getting ready for the weekend. So here we go. Let me move over here. And so we have on here Carl Siegel, and we have Joe Hausman with us. And we're going to go ahead and get started. And so I'll start off with sharing a little bit about myself. I've been in the insurance industry off and on since the 1980s. And I was talking to somebody one day. I actually came into the industry when we had to use what most people on this live won't even know what it is, but it's called a MAPSCO, and it's where I went to all these country farm homes and selling health insurance years and years ago, and we didn't have anything like GPS or cell phones and all that kind of stuff. So I've been in the industry for a long time. Got into recruiting and was a top recruiter for one of the largest insurance companies in the world. And then in 2016, we started this company, and we're really excited about all the things that are happening right now in the industry. And so we hope to be able to bring you some great value today. So, Joe, I'm going to let you go next and share a little bit about yourself, and then we'll move on over to Carl.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ron, and welcome everybody to the 10X Insurance Challenge. Today, we're going to talk about 10 biggest follow-up mistakes. So I've actually been working virtually before virtual was cool. So I started a virtual assistant business back in 2005. Prior to that, though, I had my life insurance license back in the year 2000. And so I did that for a few years. And now I joined up with Ron in July of 2020. And so now we've been working with insurance agents and recruiters and really getting them to 10X their business, right? And working with recruiters to retain. And we also train new agents. So it's really exciting. Just having everybody come in. We're excited to have you. We're excited to go over all this information with you. And now it's time to 10X your business. How about you, Carl?
Carl, take it away.
Those are some great introductions. I don't know how to follow up on that except to say that I've been working for maybe the last 15 years or so with a machine manufacturing company, and over the last few months, having participated in more Grant Cardone training, I am trying to participate in something that I think brings more value to the table in terms of the marketing and the sales and the training aspect of what we all need to do in our businesses. So that kind of brings you up to date on me.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you guys. And thank you guys for being here today. This is our first live webinar. We're going to be doing many, many more of these over the course of the rest of this year. And it's really to bring you value. And as we start to bring you value, we'd like for you to, share the link, share the once the while we're going live, but also in the replays. if you think that there's somebody that can get great value from the information that we have. As you can see from our screen, we have the 10 biggest follow-up mistakes. Now, so that's what we're going to talk about today, because in this industry, and like I say, I've been in it for a long time, and I've seen a lot of people come and go in the industry. And as being a recruiter in the industry, it's kind of it's disappointing, and to see some really talented people come into the industry that they just fall away. There's from the Bureau of Statistics, and we're not talking about a lot of statistics today, so don't go, oh my gosh, are we going to do that? But I just want to share this one statistic with you, and that is that 92% of the people that get their insurance license never renew them. Now, why is that so? And part of it is, and what it has to do with, is the follow-up. And that's why we wanted to talk about the 10 biggest follow-up mistakes. I'm not saying that, we're not going to be able to make it through all 10 of these today. That's not the purpose, but some of the value that you're going to get from it is going to be invaluable. And just so you know what my intention is for today, and that is that by the end of this, that you're going to want to be a part of our 21-day insurance challenge. That's going to be 15 days within a 3-week period of time, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Central Time, where we're going to be going over this information. We're going to be going over some other information. We're going to be providing you with a lot of material. But that is my intent today, that at the end of this, we just didn't want to give you any surprises or anything. We want to give you great information, and you can just come in here on the lives. That's fine. And if it helps you in your career, that is our objective, not just today, but in the future as well. So let's go ahead and jump right in and start with one of the biggest mistakes is that the number one is not making the call at all. So really the biggest number one mistake is that most salespeople never make the call.
Well, they feel like that phone is like a 10,000 pound thing. And it's just like, no, you just got to make the call.
Yeah. Yeah, and Joe, you and I have experienced that in working together, and we also have Julie that just came back with us. Great, hey, thank you, Julie, for coming back.
Hi, guys.
So what I'd like to do is Julie, we're talking about the first mistake that most new agents make, but I would like for you to introduce yourself so that the people that are on here have a good idea as to who you are.
Fantastic. Nice to see everyone. My name's Julie Gracie. I am a 10X business coach. And really what we do, just like Ron, it's really about helping people with their sales, their marketing, areas of their business that they are struggling in. And that's the support we provide.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for, so we had Julie on here and she had to step away for just a second. And so we're glad that you were able to make it back on. So the first mistake is people not making the call from the very beginning. And the second part to that is all you have to do is make the call, right? And then once you've made that first call, you're better off than 48% of all the other agents that are out there. So, it's almost unbelievable that um, that somebody would go to all the trouble, all the effort, and in a lot of cases for insurance people, and especially in different segments of the insurance industry, that they would take the time, the energy, and the money to purchase a lead for them, for 48% of them to never make that first call whatsoever.
Because it's easier to purchase and lead than it is to make the call.
It's interesting because really what we're talking about is fear.
Yep.
But why? What fear? I mean, it's interesting to me when we talk about the subject, because I do remember being given a box of index cards. That dates me, of course. But here's a box of index cards. Start calling these people up and ask them for donations. This is an easy thing. You see somebody's name, you see their phone number, you pick up the phone, you make the call. You can sound like a complete idiot on the phone. The people don't really care. If you're not insulting them and you're just asking them to pay attention for a few minutes, that's pretty much what it takes.
Yeah.
Pay attention to me for. I had a pitch years ago where I would say, "Hi, my name's Carl Seidel. I'm with Auditable Business Solutions. I'd like to talk to you for 23 seconds. Do you have 23 seconds for me today?"
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
I mean, what are they going to say? No, I don't have time. All right, great. Move on to the next one.
Yeah. And then, of course, call them back later and say, now do you have 23 seconds?
There you go. I really like that, Carl. That's a good
Yeah. We have all the excuses in the world, right? And and one of the biggest things is, and one of the biggest challenges that I have found over the years with the agents that I've worked with is, they get this paralysis of analysis, and they feel like that they have to know all the products, they have to know all the scripts that have been given to them, and and they're learning all this stuff, and we, so I say, well, how come you're not making calls? Well, I just don't feel comfortable because I haven't learned the script yet. And, I'd venture to say, and some of you that are watching this now, some of you know me, some of you don't. I would venture to say that most of you probably don't. But if you do know me, and I know the people on this that are with me today, you guys know me to know that, I'm an okay guy. I'm relatively, I'm definitely laid back. But, one of the things that used to really get me stirred up when I was owned my agency is that when somebody would come in and sit down in my office, and that's what they would say, I'd say, hey, make the freaking call. Just make a call. I don't care what you say. Call them and ask them how they're doing, but make the call, because at least you're getting someplace. And again, you're 48% above all the other agents that are out there, and my other favorite saying about that is, before we go to the next slide, is even a blind squirrel can find a nut every once in a while. So if you don't know anything about the products, you don't know anything about what to say, you can't mess it up. They can't come through the phone and beat you up. So just make the call. It doesn't matter. And every once in a while, truly, every once in a while, you're going to be in the right place at the right time. So
you can never say the wrong thing to the right person.
Do what was that, Joe?
You can never say the wrong thing to the right person.
That's right.
So
that's right.
And the more you make the calls, the more you learn the script.
That's right.
And the more you make the calls, the more you learn what each person is going to say. And eventually they all kind of come down to like 4 or 5 different things that they're going to say. But you don't know that until you start making the calls.
Yeah, so I like being authentic, and So I just want to share something before we go to the next slide real quick, because um, we decided to do this webinar. We've been working on this 21-day challenge for quite some time now to be able to provide you with lots of value, truly lots and lots of value. So that part's been going on for a long time. But when we decided to do this webinar was 2 days ago. Literally 2 days ago, we decided to do this webinar.
Yep.
And I did not know, this is the first webinar that I've really ever done. I'm being pretty vulnerable here. And I didn't know I had to have a tech guy come on to make sure this morning, which is Wes, our tech guy, which is a genius, by the way. But we had to have him come on and help us to get these screens set up properly. But the thing about it is we took action. We decided that we wanted to bring you value. We're doing it for you. And more than anything in the world. And before we got started, we talked about a little bit about targets and all that kind of stuff. People that we want to move forward with the 21-day challenge. And I think it's a great deal. But let's see for you. But the reason why I'm telling you that is to say it was just a matter of freaking doing it. I had to take my own advice. It's like, when I owned my agency, when I saw that my agents weren't doing something, and I had to tell myself that. So anyway, I just wanted to add that to it to let you guys know, hey, you don't have to be perfect at this. And you're going to see we're not perfect. Hey, but we're going to have fun doing this because we want to bring you great value. So the next part to it, Joe, do you want to take this one?
Sure. So just continued, when they say they're not going to be home, and now in today's society, we can text them, right? If you have a text number, definitely text them and call them. I would do both. Sometimes people won't check their voicemail, or their voicemail might be full. So definitely call them anyways, text them anyway. And if you feel comfortable enough, do a video and text that video to them. So because then they're going to see your face and your voice. And when they put together your face and your voice, they're going to trust you more. So now they've seen your face and they hear your voice equals trust. So that's just out of pure being human, because that's why we're on here live right now, is because we want you guys to also trust us. So, and the more you'll see us. And if they're out of town, if they're in a sales meeting, doesn't matter. Just call them, text them, whatever. I would do both. I would call and I would text. And if they don't answer, leave a message if you can, and then follow up with the text message. So definitely just make the call. And again, I'm kind of like, well, not quite go back as far as Ron, but the OG of a lot of the sales stuff is making the call, making your presence known, and just getting in front of people. So definitely. And then I think the next slide was going to have a quote on there, isn't it, from Grant?
Maybe. No, but let's stay here for just a second, because I think it's really important that we, because we can come up with every kind of excuse, right? As far as people, I mean, let's face it, if you've ever bought a lead and you've called that lead and you say, hey, you ask for some information, and what's the one thing that they say? No, I didn't. Now you have their full name, you have your email address, you have their email address, you have their cell phone number, and oftentimes you even have the beneficiary that they want, if it's life insurance, and they just put that online. We do those send them to you live, basically from the time that, as soon as they're generated, you have that lead in your CRM, and you call them and they say, I didn't do that. Has that ever happened to you? Yeah. So it doesn't matter. And if they, whatever their excuse is, doesn't matter. Just make the call. Doesn't matter if they're in a meeting. Well, we're all in meetings. Let them hang up on you, but make the call. And once you've made the call, stay on the call. So yeah. Carl, you want to take this one?
When you're not spending time making reasons not to make calls, you need to be unreasonable and make the call. I like that. I can't say that I've read all these cards today, but this is the first time I'm looking at this, and I'm just thinking to myself, well, this is something that you can do kind of like a machine. You pick up the phone, you make a call, you put the next card in front of you. As soon as you're done calling that person, you move on to the next one. The fact is that you have to make this like you're building a muscle. This is a habit. This is something you need to do every day. Stop making reasons. Stop thinking about it. Just pick up the phone, make the call, move on to the next one.
Yeah. So, we've been at because we on this panel, we've all been at the 10X Business Coach Mastermind for the last couple of days, and this was a topic that came up, and actually Grant came into the room and talked a little bit about this as well. David Robar, which some of you know, and I know you've probably heard Grant's name, and if you haven't, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but anyway, I don't think I'm supposed to say stuff like that on a webinar, but anyway, like I say, this is real. So anyway, but one of the things that Dave Rubar said and Grant talked about was being unreasonable. So be willing to take chances. Be willing not only to take chances, but take the actions and take chances, right? Be unreasonable. Don't be reasonable with things in your life. You're going to sell the way that you are sold. And if you always have to be reasonable and you always have to think within this box, then that's the way that you're going to sell. But when people are trying to be reasonable with you, or they think they're being reasonable with you, you need to be unreasonable. You need to be willing to have them hang up on you. Always think of it that way. Even me, as nice of a guy as what I think I am, and what I hope that most people think I am, I'm unreasonable, and I'm going to be unreasonable, and we have to be unreasonable. So when you're making those calls, I think it's really important for us to remember to not be reasonable. If you're going to make 10 phone calls, decide to make 100 phone calls. If you're going to make 100 phone calls, decide you're going to make 1,000 phone calls. You may not be able to make 1,000 phone calls today, but you're going to be able to make 1,000 phone calls over the next couple days. The most successful agents I know are not on the golf course right now because they're so unreasonable about wanting to be successful that they're even going to work on Saturday and Sunday. And I'm not telling you that you need to do that. I'm not telling you that I'm going to do that. But at this point in my life, But some of you are in situations where you can be that unreasonable and you need to be that unreasonable. So I can now move on to the next one. So, Julie, would you mind reading Grant's quote?
Absolutely. And it states that greatness will not find you until you show up. That's so powerful. And creativity will not find you until you take action.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Wow.
those are very powerful words. And another one that he says is, you hear often knowledge is power. And I strongly disagree with that, because I know a lot of people with a lot of knowledge and they don't use it. It's only powerful when you actually put it to work, when you take the step, you take that action. So a lot of you are smart. You know how to run your business. You know how to make the call, but you're just not doing it. And if I can just add to that, is sometimes for me, when I was doing, those sales calls and getting on and not wanting to get on, I had to get my mind right about, why am I calling them? Why am I calling them? And think about those, Ed Milet had a really great story. He used to sell, if you know who that is, he used to sell life insurance. And he had a guy that he was trying to get a life insurance policy for. And the guy kept pushing him off and pushing him off. And he's like, I'm going to call him. And he didn't make the call to this gentleman. Well, this gentleman ended up getting killed in a car accident without life insurance. The wife had a newborn baby. They were left with nothing. They claimed bankruptcy. Their life was ruined, all because Ed Wolf says he'll never let that go. Why? Because he did not make that call. So think about why you're doing it. It's not just to make a sale. What you're doing is you're helping people in their lives. You're providing that value of, this next call I'm going to get on, I'm going to help this person with so much value in their life. And that's what you're doing. The sale and the money that comes from that is just, the byproduct of that, which is what you want, of course, but why you're doing it. It's going to help you pick up that call. This next person I'm going to call needs what I have.
And they do. Yeah. Yeah, you got that was something that Jared talked about over the last couple of days, and Jared Plant with Grant, and he talked about that you need to believe in what it is that you're doing so much that you want to share it with the whole world, right? You have to believe in it. So it's hard for you to sell until you can believe in it yourself. And if you can't believe in it yourself right now, like what Julie said, do you want your family, a family member of yours, to not have enough life insurance if that's what it is that you sell? Do you want your best friend? Have you talked to your best friend about life insurance? My attorney that I have, every single email that I get from him, he says, have you done your will? Every single email. And the reason why he does is because his best friend was an attorney, one of the best attorneys at doing wills. Do you know that that attorney did not have a proper will? And he was an attorney that did wills, and he didn't have one. And what David, my attorney, said to me he said, Ron, my best friend that I thought would have the perfect will didn't even have a will. And so you've got to believe in what it is that you're doing, and you have to have a purpose in what it is that you're doing. I want to share one more quick thing about that before we go to the next slide. And some of you have heard this before if you've watched any of my lives, because I did a live one time on being the worst salesman on the planet. And because I don't know of anybody else that was actually fired from 100% sales commission until me, but I was. And it was because I was selling siding. And so I'll make this really quick, but I was selling siding. And so I'd been with him for about 6 weeks, and I was going out every single day, and I was pounding on the doors, and I learned their script and all the things. And finally, one day, the sales manager called me in and told me to bring my kit with me. And he said, Ron, you know what? You are one of the nicest guys I think I've ever met. And I said, well, thank you. And he said, Ron, that's not a compliment. Nice guys have skinny kids. And so there's 2 points to that. And the first point is I think what that sales manager said was right in one respect, because you got to be unreasonable. The other thing to that is the reason I'm not the worst salesperson. I've proven I'm not the worst salesperson. I'm a pretty darn good salesperson, but it's the product that you're selling. You have to believe in what it is that you're doing. And so if you're selling something and you don't truly believe in the depth of your heart that what you're doing and what you're selling is the right product, you need to be selling something else. So anyway, thought I'd share that real quick with you. So real quick, and as I promised, that we have a purpose in being here today, that first and foremost, we want to provide value to you, and we hope that you are getting value. We also want to give you the opportunity to be a part of our 21-day challenge for insurance people. This is really for anybody. You could, if you're not in insurance, but if you're in real estate, or if you sell something else, if you sell roofing, which is an important thing to have for people, especially here in Texas, where I am, where we have tornadoes and we have hail and that type of stuff. But anyway, whatever it is that you're selling, you can get benefit from this 21-day challenge. But we are going to be doing a lot of talking about insurance along the way. All you have to do is in your mind put the different product if this is something that you want to do. We're going to give you tons and tons of value. I know you've been on webinars like this before, and people put up these numbers, and you're going, oh, that's not worth that. And I'm telling you, everything on here, you're truly just Cardone University alone, access to Cardone University. You can't get Cardone University for $97. You're going to get Cardone University while you're in the 6 weeks. It'll give you an opportunity to take a look at it, kind of get in there. You're going to have access to having information, different programs, and it truly, if you were to purchase this, it would be $1,200, and that's a part of what we're giving to you. We're going to be on the Zoom calls on a daily basis. I highly recommend that you're on the calls. It's not going to be a whole lot of didactic, a whole lot of education per se. We're going to go over some things to give you that value, and we're going to be giving you some assignments where you can kind of go into Cardone University and give you some direction where to go, and we'll be talking about those things, but it will be a lot of interacting with one another. But we're also going to be doing some practice, drill, and rehearse, which is going to be very important. It's going to give you that motivation that you need to pick up that phone, make that call. And so we're going to have that available to you. We're going to have an exclusive Facebook page just for the people that have been through the 21-day challenge, and for you to be able to interact with other people that are like-minded like you, which also leads me to say this isn't for everybody. In fact, you know what? If you're not in a place right now where you feel like that you're ready to grow, you're ready to explode your business, you're ready to go to the next level, don't do it. I mean that with all sincerity. Just don't do it. In fact, you can go ahead and leave now if you want to. Yeah, but if it is something, if we've said one thing so far, and we're not going to take up a whole lot of your time today, but if we've said one thing so far, it's worth the whole thing to begin with. But we're also going to get a one-on-one session with me. I'm here to tell you, I know a lot of times it's a 30-minute session. I know a lot of times, you hear, oh, I know what that is. That's a sales call. No, it's not. It's not a sales call. It truly is a 30-minute strategy call with me. If you're a recruiter and you want to recruit more agents, we can talk about that for 30 minutes if you like. If you're struggling with picking up the phone, we'll talk about that. If you're having problems with the sales cycle, we'll talk about that. If you're having problems with the close, we'll talk about that. I want to talk with you one-on-one about the issues that you're having. And if I can help you to get unstuck in that 30 minutes, that's what I'm willing to do. And that's a part of this as well. You're going to get workbooks that are going to be automatically sent to you, where you're going to be able to go on and just click by the click of a button. You'll be able to have downloadable PDFs that to be able to follow along with our information. But not only are you going to be able to follow along with our information, but it's also going to go along with Cardone University. And so you get all of that. Truly, again, it is a value of over $5,000. That's not a made up number. Those are very, very real numbers. And you're going to get it for $97. Just Cardone University alone. If you did nothing else with this and you decided and you've thought to yourself, I sure would like to try that Cardone University, but man, can I really afford to spend $1,200 for that? And if you feel like that right now, you're in a position that you're not able to do that, or you're just not willing to make that kind of investment in yourself right now, it's worth it for you to do this. And so with that, I'm going to move right on because I don't want to waste all of our time with that. But I do want you to understand that this is going to be available for you, and it is going to be for a limited time. We are going to be doing because when I talked to Wes about this and when we're putting this thing together, it's a commitment on our part to be able to provide that material to you every single day, Monday through Friday. And we are doing that. So again, the seats are limited and the timing is going to be limited. So I encourage you to go ahead and do it. Do it now. Now's a great time for you to do it. So with that, Joe, I'm going to let you go ahead and take this one.
All right. Well, we're continuing on not making enough calls. So, sometimes we make the calls, but then we don't follow up, right? So a lot of this is 80% of the calls are made between the 5th and the 12th contact, even though I think now it's even a little bit more than that because of social media and because of all the distractions. I'm thinking it's more like 20, the 20th contact. And I will tell you, a while ago, I decided one day I was just going to make 100 follow-up phone calls. That's what I was going to do. Ron and I were on a quest to get some sales agents in, and I made 75% of the sales after making 100 calls. Now that didn't all happen in one day, right? So it happened over a course of 3 or 4 days, but the fortune's in the follow-up. I followed up with email. I followed up with a text message. I followed up with, voicemail. So whatever it is you can do, and if you're bored with like, well, I just don't want to make another phone call. Well, make the phone call, like I said before, and then do a text message, do a video message, do something. You don't have to look all glamorous in the video message. Just be who you are. That's who they want to see, is who you really are. And then, of course, the average salesperson doesn't make any phone calls. We used to get agents like complain all the time because they weren't making sales. Well, they're not making sales because they're not making calls. And they, when they buy the lead or get the lead, they just think the lead's going to come right to them, and they're not. So you have to go after that lead. You have to pursue that lead. And when you make enough phone calls, one lead might be bad. You might be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they just talked to me like that. The next person's going to be thanking you. They're going to be thanking you for making the phone call. They're going to be thanking you for reaching out to them. They're even going to be more thankful when they're calling you because they have a death of that person that you wrote that, and that you're able to provide that support. So it is a great feeling. First of all, they're thankful that you reached out, but they're even going to be more thankful in the end. So that's your job as an insurance agent, to make those phone calls, do your dedication to your client and your future clients. You know, the ones who are nasty, they might just be having a bad day. Might just got a little bit of not enough sleep last night, maybe not enough coffee, whatever the case may be, but keep following up, because you will get them on a better day. So
Or
definitely keep following up. And also a little bit about Cardone University. And I know Ron, and I just want to touch a little bit on that.
Sure.
If you want continual training, so we're doing the 21-day challenge, but the continual training is on Cardone U. And you're maybe thinking, what's Cardone U? Well, Cardone University, what it is it's Grant Cardone has put together a whole series: sales, marketing, how to make the phone calls, scripts. I mean, it's all within Cardone University. If all you have to do is go in and study 10 to 15 minutes a day, because there's each script. I mean, they're blocked out in different segments. It's easy, 10, 15 minutes, and it's done like that. That's what I make a goal of every day. Do 10 to 15 minutes every day. And it fills your mind with knowledge, and it kind of gives you that. Grant's always uplifting, and he's kind of gives you that, go, go, go. Same thing we're going to be doing in this 21-day challenge as well. But also with that, you get Cardone University, along with all the other wonderful things that we're offering. So there you go, Ron. I love Cardone University, and I love this group.
Yeah, the other thing that I want to say about this is because, especially in today's time, where we have CRMs that do a lot of the work for us, which is really good, and it does help with making some of those contacts, like sending out the emails at a specific time, so that you don't have to know exactly, so that you don't have to have on your mind or have on a calendar for an email to go out, or a text, or a ringless voice message, or those things. We do have a CRM available. A lot of you, as insurance agents, I know that you already have one, and that's cool. But here's the problem with that, that we have found a lot of times, is a lot of agents, I mean, not to say that you are lazy, but there are a lot of insurance agents out there that are lazy, and to begin with. But the other part to that is now they've been able to even become more lazy, because they have these tools that can do the things for them. So, but look at it this way. If you take those tools, our CRM, or the CRM that you're using, or the CRM that you're building, and you have those things in place where it's making contact with your potential lead or your potential sell, if you are unreasonable about getting and making contact with them in person, and I like what Joe said about, doing a video. And I tell you, you do a video, and I want you, as people that are watching this, if you're watching it on the live right now, or if you're watching it on the restream of this later on, or the replay, that think about how unreasonable that you truly are with making the calls. So I think that's really important. Carl or Julie, would you like to make any comments, or are we ready to move on to the next one? I don't want to
No,
take up
I think
everybody's
this is great. I think we can just keep going here.
Cool. All right. Let me get here. Go to the next one. Carl, you want to take this one, bud?
Sure. If you think it's going to be 1, 2, 3, or even 4 calls, you aren't going to make it. I like that a lot, because essentially what you're doing is you're outlining a paradigm. I mean, it's in a way, it's like saying, sure, just make a call or make 2 calls or make 5 calls. It really doesn't have to do with that. It has to do with getting through to somebody. And if you're not concentrating on getting through to somebody on a daily basis, you're really not challenging yourself. You're not putting yourself in the driver's seat. You're not taking control. You're certainly not going to dominate your market by sitting back and waiting. If you are not taking that initiative yourself, you're going to be putting yourself in a position where you're going to be questioning everything you say, everything you do, the market itself, what you're doing in your life on a daily basis. I mean, these are things that you need to do on a daily basis. Make calls, get in front of people, talk to people, introduce yourself, introduce your subject. We all have to figure this out for ourselves, because the fact is we all leave ourselves open to questioning ourselves if we're not taking action. Action precedes motivation. Action comes way before motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That the fact is you have to act each day. And to me, that's really the bottom line. I know that when I'm not acting, when I'm not doing, I'm questioning myself. I don't know about anybody else, but I do know that that's true for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm right with you, Carl. The thing about it is people. I've heard it so many times. I've even fallen into this trap years ago. That doesn't happen anymore, but years ago, I'd find myself, especially like I say for when I was in selling insurance in the early days, where I didn't have a cell phone. And like I say, I had to actually have a map to know where it was that I was going. And I would get discouraged, and I would, start feeling sorry for myself, and then, but, I had to keep going. And, sometimes I'd end up in a place and I would run out of leads, and, and I think, okay, what am I going to do now? Well, then I had to start knocking on doors. Because a lot of times back then, I know in the world that we live in today, it's just a matter of hopping on a Zoom and making a sell. But back then, Texas is a big state, and I would literally have to drive 5 and 6 hours sometimes to get to my destination of where my leads were for that week. But yeah, I would get discouraged, but I can tell you, and Carl, something that you said that it just clicked with me is the thing that would bring me out of that depression, or out of that feeling sorry for myself, or out of that anxiety because I knew I had a bill that was coming due or whatever, was to take action, to actually knock on that door. Even though, and they had no idea. It wasn't like they had sent something in or they had gotten a phone call. It was literally me just knocking on that door, but it was taking that action, right? And so the other thing that I want to say about that before we move on is that, when I had my agency, and I've had 2 agencies, and one in the just between Dallas and Fort Worth in Arlington. And then I had one in Houston, which was my last one that I had. And I can tell you, in all the years of being an agency owner, I can count on one hand the number of people that actually walked in my door and asked for something. It was always us reaching out. And I had hundreds of agents, and I had big offices with big signage for people to walk in. So it wasn't like we were just back there in a corner someplace. I had the big signs and everybody knew we were there. But I can tell you that literally less than 5 times in all the years that I've been doing this did somebody actually come to me. It was us reaching out to them.
That sounds
All right.
that
I'll
sounds
take
like
this one.
my experience.
So it's the same problem for you on social media. You don't exist. Well, you know what? I made a comment earlier about that some of you might know who I am, but most of you don't know who I am. And I've been in the insurance industry a long time. I feel like I have a great reputation. I'm a person of integrity. I treat people the way that I like to be treated. And I've tried to make a dent. In fact, I've made a little bit of a dent in social media by going and making posts almost on a daily basis. I say almost because not every day, but I've been out there, and but what I said was in the very beginning, this may be and very likely the first time that you've ever seen me. I mean, actually, we have 2 of the people that are on this right now. One of them is on a monthly television show, and the other one was on a nationally, if not internationally, one of the top game shows out there. And you may not have known who she is. You'll know her now. And Joe is the one that's on a television show now on a monthly basis. And Julie, so share a little bit about that, because I think that's incredible that you were on a #1 game show, but yet probably people, there might be one person that said, "Oh yeah, I have seen her before," maybe, right?
Right. And so when it comes to marketing and you think that people know who you are when you're making these calls and, well, I've contacted them before. Listen, I'm just going to give you something. I was on a #1 game show. You might have heard of it. It's called Deal or No Deal. I was on the cover of magazines. I was on a show on FX as a host. I did travel shows. I've done all of these things. I was People Magazine's 100 Most Beautiful one year with Angelina Jolie on the cover, right? And guess what? You have no idea who I am. So if I have all of these things that I've done, all of these places that I've been, it just shows you. If you think you're putting out one post or making one call and nothing's happening, you are going to have to really rethink your mindset on that, because you're not just competing with other agencies. You're not competing with the other agent down the road that's trying to sell them. You're competing with everything else, all the other distractions. They got your email, and guess what? Now they got an email from Amazon. Now they have this. Their kid called. Their life is busy, very busy. So you think that you're making an impact on them, but really you have to 10x, and that's what 10x is all about. Is taking what you're doing now and doing it 10 times more. Just do this challenge. It's one of these things that in our program, if we can just get you to do what we're asking, what are you going to lose? What are you going to lose? I'm telling you, you have everything to gain. And I will say this, that if Ron is offering you in this deal, just the 30-minute strategy call, like, I honestly can't believe that Ron is offering that for what this package is, because that alone is going to multiply your business, just that alone. And so really getting back to this putting yourself out there of, people don't know who you are, and maybe they're going to kind of get to know you a little bit, but life has so many distractions now that you've got to keep drilling into them. This is me. This is what I do. This is me. This is what I do. And you think that you're annoying? they're not going to remember you. You got to call them again. You got to text them again. And that video message with your face, hey, thinking about you, you've got to continue. And this is part of what Cardone University and the strategy call and the weekly coaching, keeping your mind on track of what your goals are. It's an invaluable challenge. Like, if you want to stay stuck where you are, then keep doing what you're doing. If you want to grow to that next level and you want to see yourself in 5 to 10 years, this knowledge, once you get it in your brain, it's going to just accelerate your business so much. So I'm really excited for the people that are on here, the value you're going to get out of this.
Yeah. Thank you, Julie. That's very kind of you to say. I really do appreciate that. Yeah. So we're just about ready to wrap this up. And so, and gosh, I mean, Julie, after that, I don't know that I am going to go through it real quick as to finish this up after Joe reads this quote. But thank you, Julie. Wow, that really was, and you're absolutely right. So go ahead, Joe.
All right. Well, Grant says, with follow-up, be the stream, not the rock. With the stream, you just keep going. And you don't be the rock where you stop. You just be the stream, right? Just be the stream, keep going. Grant knows what he's talking about. Fortune's in the follow-up. So if you don't get through the first call, you call them again. You text them, you email. Just keep following up. So with that being said, Ron wants to finish this off again with that wonderful offer. And I hope you guys all join us because it starts. And we are going to be rocking and rolling with it. And we look forward to seeing you on there.
Yeah, so the first one, we're starting Monday. And so we'd really, don't put this off. I've been posting the link to it. I'm going to go back to some of the ones where if you weren't able to get it, because it's showing me here that LinkedIn was not able to get it. So I'm going to be posting it into the LinkedIn profile here shortly. Please share this. If you got some kind of value out of this, or if you think there's somebody that you know, that you care about, that you want to see to be successful, if you'll share this link out, just share it to your friends and your family, depending on what platform you're on right now. Just share it. Really, you're doing them a huge favor. And really, all we want to do is to be able to bring you value. And truly, if we can do that, and you're getting from a partnership of, Grant now is reaching the $1 billion mark, and he just didn't get there by accident. And there's tons and tons and tons of material. I'm grateful to be a part of this team, this panel that's on here today, that has shared their wisdom and their thoughts. And, we're going to be doing more of these, but I encourage you, join the 21-day challenge. Thank you so much today for joining us. Thank you guys for being here and helping me through this. I would not have been able to do it without you. And so with all of that, everybody have a blessed day and a wonderful weekend. And I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. Thank you guys for joining today.
All right.
Bye.